biohacking, performance, mastery, mindset, holistic health. This is a show about getting better every single day. I'm on a mission, guys, to help over 1 million people get healthy and lose weight. Why? Because when you lose weight and get healthy, you have higher self-esteem. You have more self-confidence. And that person goes out and crushes their goals and starts living the highest version of themselves, and then they have way more impact on the world. Let's go! Back with my good friend Steve Vierra for another random show, as I like to call it. Random health talk with my good friend Steve Vierra. What's up, Steve?
Hey, how you doing, Joel? You know what I just noticed? I was watching the intro here.
Catchy info? Yeah.
And I saw I was in it.
Yeah.
It was my back. You were putting the probes on me because I was like, oh, that's my tattoo.
That's you.
Okay.
You made a cameo appearance. Yeah.
Oh, man, that's awesome. I feel so happy now.
All right, man. So we've got so many things to talk about. We're going back and forth, but we were thinking what would be most practical for people and just giving them some crunchy health tactics, hearing what two different guys are doing. I just turned 40. You're 53, thriving, by the way. Like, what are some things that people can start doing? And we were thinking morning routines would be great. And then like supplement protocols or just routines. Like, what are some big things that we're doing that we can share with people and that we think are working? And the neat thing I think about this conversation is that I'm sure our morning routines and supplement routines have changed vastly over the years. I mean, I know some of the things you were doing 10 years ago. I'm sure you're not doing the same things, or maybe you come back and forth, right? So.
Yeah, I have done this. Actually, there's quite a few things I've been doing for, like 3 decades. And then there's stuff that I'm always picking up new stuff. And I don't know if I discard things as much as don't do them as much, right? You can't do everything all the time. I mean, we only have so many hours in a day, and I could, or else you would never get anything done besides better yourself, which I guess wouldn't be horrible, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Time is an issue. And then some things like what moves the needle the most, right? All right. Well, let's talk about that, dude. So 30 years doing some of the same routines. What are they? What are some of the big things that you think are really important and probably most people should be doing too?
The big, the things to keep doing are just after it's been, I guess, hasn't been 30 years for this, but just the joint mobility kind of stuff, or we'll call it mobility stuff, to open yourself up and move your body in a bunch of different ways, which we talked about last episode. That has been a huge thing, especially in the last at least 20 years. The first 10 years when I was just into bodybuilding, I didn't know so much about it, right? The information wasn't out there as it is now with the internet. I'm sure if I knew some gymnasts then or whatever, because I do a lot of prep work, I might have maybe, who knows what my attitude was back then. I was just mostly into let's get big and strong. And, I ultimately paid the price in a way, because one time when I was squatting, I tore my quadricep muscle,
right.
all 4 heads, and it just ripped the whole entire thing. It was pretty shocking, of course. And I had to get it repaired. The doctor did a great job, and it took a decent amount of time to rehab it. And it's come back pretty good. It still has a scar, but it's not perfect, because now when you overlap a muscle, the whole thing shifts, and it's going to affect your hip and it's affecting my side. And of course, it went all the way up to my neck, and it took me a long time to go through all that. So that's where the joint mobility, or the mobility itself, has really come into my morning, or not even morning, my practice.
Yeah, really quick on that. I think that's fascinating what you just said. You said a lot, and I think if anybody's listening to this, they're just going to glaze over that. You just said something really powerful and crazy. You said you have a quadriceps tear, but then you mentioned that this goes all the way up to your neck. What are you talking about? Wait, what? Now, I kind of know what you're talking about, because there's this fascinating book that I think everybody should check out and read, and it's called, I don't know if you've heard of this, you probably have, Anatomy Trains. And it's a great book. Essentially, though, what you will learn from this book is that everything from your down to like your big toe, there are and the reason it's called Anatomy Trains is because think of like train tracks, right? Well, there's lines in your body. There's train tracks. There's lines that go all the way from like your big toe all the way up to your back and like up to the back of your neck, right? Like, and so sometimes we're like, oh, I have this neck issue or whatever, so I just got a massage this morning, and then it keeps coming back, keep coming back, and so it's like, what if, how crazy is, but what if it was something that had to do with your left big toe or something, or your foot or ankle, and if you restored that, that would, that's, so when you said that, that's exactly what I thought about. But what did you mean?
That's correct.
Thank you. Good.
That's all I got to say.
Correct. Yeah.
Well, like I said, it overlapped the muscle. This took me time to figure out. I didn't know it right off the bat, like, oh, this is what's going to happen, of course. But it shrunk the muscle, and just because I feel it, it's really caused my whole left side to become, well, at first kind of glued down, and just kept me askew, I'd say. And it just took a long time of working. First off, working the massaging, a lot of rolling on the muscles themselves to open that up, and a lot of movement. And this I learned over time. It wasn't like the month after. It was like, it's been decades, really, right? And so I always think, like, what if I didn't do that? Where could I be right now?
Yeah.
And we could always think like that, what if? But I think from what my injury is to where I am now, I've gone way further than most people, and that's just kind of a good thing for my story, because look, I tore my whole leg muscle, and I was sitting there with on the bed with my knee bent in the hospital, and the doctor came over and said, try to do a leg extension. And I was just like, oh, my leg was just still bent like this, right? Because there's no muscle there.
Yeah.
To pull it out. So, of course, my biggest thing was, well, I would be able to move again or bodybuild again. And it's like, well, probably, but it'd take about a year. I was 24 when this happened, so I was young. Luckily, I can imagine doing it at 54, right?
Yep.
So he said probably, and I was back running within like 6 months, and that's I took
fast.
I took a lot of that. I went to physical therapy, and they had me riding a bike, and that was good because it kind of just gave me my range of motion. And they massaged it, which it really needed. It was like a rock when it came out of a cast. It hurt so bad. It was just like, like a wooden table. And after, I don't know, maybe a month there, I was just like, these people, and I didn't know a whole lot at this time as I do now, but I was like, these people, they aren't doing much for me. And it didn't cost me anything. I had medical insurance then, but I was just like, no, I'm done here. So I just went back to the gym, and I had a little brace. Like, I had a little dial on the side so I can only go so far at one time. And I progressed. I worked upper body, right? I'm not going to quit. And I used machines, and then I progressed my leg, and I got it to where I had to, started running within, I think it was 7 months. Sorry, not 6.
There's also some interesting data or research too now that we know about, like, just scars too can actually and the skin, right? So like practitioners that do ISTM or IASTM, that type of mobility work, like ART that you're familiar with, I know, but like that myofascial release or taping, right? Like the neuroprotective that even your skin has sends signals back to your brain that can tell your body to be in a protective state or not. And so that's why things like that KT tape people put on it, you think, oh, it's just tape, big deal, what is it doing? But it's sending a different signal to the brain just based on the skin. So even scarring afterwards, like an injury, can affect the perception that the brain has to that area. So it's really interesting too of how that can affect your recovery, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Not just that, it was just when I got back to the gym. I mean, there's that, of course, what you're talking about, the stuff your body knows, but you aren't aware of. But of course, when I got back to the gym and started squatting again, right, that was a mind kind of mess up, right? Like, oh
Big
man,
time.
am I going to rip this again? What's going to happen?
Yep.
And some people may not go back to doing their things. I can understand that, but I haven't gone back to heavy squatting, but I went back to squatting and lifting, and everything works fine. I just don't, I'm not going to enter a squat competition, though. Though I think I'd be okay with some of it, but I would never. It's at least 90%, if not better, stronger. Because when you build that scar tissue, it's very strong. But mentioning that, it kind of leads us to what we're going to talk about: the morning routine. The scar tissue itself, right? Every time you cut yourself, you build scar tissue, and if every time you go for a surgery, the scar tissue, and of course the body kind of throws scar tissue at the injury as a big blob. And then as you're younger, because you have systemic enzymes, and these come and start whittling away the extra scar tissue, so it leaves the amount that you need for what you have, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
it clears a lot of it up, which is great. As we get older, these systemic enzymes stop being produced as much, and so the scar tissue doesn't really get lysed away, and
Mm-hmm.
that becomes an issue with any cut or any surgery, because as soon as you make a cut, you have, and especially dip down to the muscle, the scar tissue comes in and it'll start connecting the muscle and the skin and everything around it, and it all gets stuck. And that's why we do a lot of rolling or other ART or other modalities to try to break it up, scraping.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing, say as a hernia surgery, you get a hernia surgery, which is, where all your organs are. It gets cut, the scar tissue gets formed, and a lot of times people have hernia surgery have to have another surgery because the scar tissue starts wrapping around everything, maybe your organs and stuff, and they don't work as well. Especially as you're older, the systemic enzymes are not being produced, and so keep having new surgeries, which just brings more scar tissue. It's a kind of a cascading down loop, which is unfortunate. Mention that because first thing I do when I wake up is drink a big glass of water, and I have systemic enzymes. You can purchase them. There's a lot of research behind them. In Germany and in Japan, they use them as protocols for many of their medical issues. So where we don't use them in Western or in the United States, I don't know. I don't know who's gone to the doctor and said, "Hey, have you tried your systemic enzymes, or have you tried these?"
Mm-hmm. Great point. I messed around with systemic enzymes a long time ago. Actually, I think it might have been you because you had got me on one of those. I can't remember the guy's doctor, Dr. Wong or something like
Dr. William Wong, excellent. I love the dude.
that. Yeah,
Dr. William
he
Wong.
has the product Wobenzyme, which is actually gets really good reviews and stuff. But there's other systemic enzymes out there as well. I'm a big fan too. So you do the systemic enzymes in a fasted state, because from my understanding, that's the best way to get them in your body. People can take systemic enzymes also when they're like eating meals to help break down food and digest food better. But if you want to actually get with the effect you're talking about, from what I understand, the research shows you need to do it in a fasted state. Is that what you're doing?
Yes, the systemic enzymes are a system. Their primary thing to go to lyse away proteins that are not needed. They have a thing called protein tagging. It's something in the body. The body knows what it needs, what it doesn't need, because again, the body is this an ultimate thing, and so it knows. So the systemic enzymes go in and protein tag, and they take away what is not needed, or lyse away. They can lyse away stuff in the arteries, or the stuff for hardening of the arteries.
Yeah.
Maybe some bumps you might have of just tissue, those can maybe go away. There's been lots of stories of that. It just lyse away a lot of things. But going back to what you said about the food, they're usually some of the same enzymes that are used to digest food, and they're so powerful, you might have some left over, they will help digest food.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and you take them on an empty stomach, it would be optimum. You could take them with food, but it's going to lessen the systemic ability for the food. So, and you can get a lot of, enzymes are enzymes. So obviously eating a lot of raw fruits and vegetables are a good way to keep your body full of enzymes anyways. And those enzymes will do some of the same things, I believe, such as going out and lysing away protein, if given, if they don't have a function of helping digest your food, they can go do other things, because everything's an enzyme process in the body, right?
Yeah.
Vitamins are just enzyme cofactors. So if you don't have enough vitamins, they're only there they're there to help the enzymes do their job. You have enzymes that do everything, and an enzyme to help extend your finger to everything else. Enzymes are the huge thing in our body, and so.
And then also for scar tissue, I think some of the biggest ones that I know of too, and I'm assuming this is in the systemic blend you take. Are you taking the Wobenzyme?
No, and just real quick, Dr. William Wong doesn't do. He used to use Wobenzyme. He has his own. Essence, which are if you listen to his podcasts, what can kill you or something like that. I forgot what it is. He goes way into detail. It's like an hour and a half podcast. I recommend it, about how systemic enzymes work. And so he has his own zymescence that's just supposedly stronger than Wobenzyme.
Yeah.
And what somebody who does that much research and knows his stuff, I'd rather use his than Wobenzyme. But I mean, I'm not, again, I don't
Yeah.
tell any,
You're not affiliated with anybody.
I
I
don't
just,
promote all this. I just what
yeah.
I use.
Yeah. I know, but nattokinase and serapeptase, people can buy that on Amazon. Those are some popular ones. Everything you're talking about, great for scar tissue and helping eat away at some of that scar tissue and breaking some of that stuff down. So anybody, I would totally do that. If I had an injury like that or rolled an ankle or did anything, I would definitely fast a little bit more and then take that on a fast state to help with that healing process. I think that's a really, really good one.
Exactly. And especially being older, because
Mm.
we talked about you stop producing as much.
Yeah.
So I just take it all the time now. I mean, maybe if I was 20, I wouldn't, and maybe just if with an injury, because 20 and younger and stuff, you see how kids can twist their ankle and they could be back playing within minutes to hours because they have so many systemic enzymes that come in and do its job. Where
Yeah.
you or I, well, you're younger than me. If I twist my ankle, it could take weeks to heal. And in fact, I was kickboxing about a month and a half ago, and I was kicked and where I rolled my big toe, and it's just rolled and it kind of hurt then, but it lasted a month, just a little bit of pain there because it overstretched it and everything. And I took my enzymes, so I can imagine if I didn't, I mean, like 2 months. So, yeah.
Okay. I don't take systemic enzymes, but I think everything you're saying is awesome. What I do though is similar to you. I do rehydrate in the morning. I do love my coffee, but I do make sure I get 20 to 30 ounces of water in the morning because I am a big fan of rehydrating the body. And I think, when we're sleeping overnight, and I know again, I drink too much coffee. So I'm going to make sure that I'm hydrating my body early on. And what I do is I like to use like a nutritional powder or something like that, just kind of a shotgun effect of all my vitamins and minerals. And that's going to help with some phase 1 detox of the liver. And then I will say what I like to add in my smoothie that I think is the new thing that I'm going to, and I think everybody should be on, is fulvic minerals. So that's what I add. And you're smiling. Are you doing fulvic mineral? I know. Well, you had told me about fulvic a long time ago when you mentioned Shilajit. I don't know if you're still taking that, but I'd be curious. Yeah. So yeah, what do you think about? Well, that's what I'm doing, guys. So I'm just kind of sharing my routine.
Yes, fulvic minerals, Shilajit. Yes, I still use this. There's also a product that, oh man, it's on the tip of my tongue. You know him, and I know him. The guy, the glyphosate doctor.
Talking about iron biome. You're talking about Dr. Zach Bush.
Zach Bush. There we go. Yes,
Yeah.
too many people out there, but yes, his biome. I use that.
That's full of fulvic minerals.
It is.
Well. Yeah,
It's mud.
that's
It's mud
basically what
water.
it is. Yeah, it's from my understanding is that's what it is.
And you could actually, you could probably make that yourself. Go out to a place, actually dig down, and someplace that's pretty clean. That's out and kind of away from things. Dig down and actually get some dirt, throw it in a bucket, and come fill it with water, and kind of just let that happen, and then just kind of skim the water off the top. People will be like, "What? That's crazy!" But that's basically what the ion is just it's mud water. But he gets it from someplace like Arizona, deep down where there's been a lot of fossils and everything kind of just get smushed together, and that's where it comes from. And again, last time we talked about we're just walking plants. We need dirt. We talked about the kids and eating cheese and playing in the dirt and getting it all dirty and eat. We need it. So there's, yes, to answer your question, fulvic minerals. I take that. I usually put some of that in my coffee. Just like you don't need much, like a teaspoon a day. I put it just to put in my coffee. There's no taste to it. It's just mud water. And it just kind of, if you watch Dr. Zach Bush and his presentation, who seems to be the number one guy about glyphosate and just how damaging that is to us. That's almost like I remember. Yeah. I think don't quote me, but I think he said that it could be almost like a human extinction thing. That's just how bad glyphosate has become in our environment and how it's passed down to other generations, and this is through rat studies. They had the one rat who ate glyphosate had babies. The second rat, its baby, didn't eat it, but it had it in its blood. It had babies, so this is now grand rats of the rats, and they didn't eat any, and that had glyphosate in it. It's just, it's become a very prevalent thing in our society, and it's not good for us. So,
Yeah.
anything to kind of protect that, like a little chink of armor, right? That's all I'm just about. I'm out just little chinks of armor. I mean, we can't do everything, but we could do what we can. And at least we have a lot of products out there and a lot of information about this stuff. And so I try to do a little bit of that. So the fulvic minerals, yes.
Yeah, huge. So fulvic, I'll tell you just my story with fulvic, and I've been preaching this a lot lately. I interviewed Dr. Stephanie Seneff, who is a world, like she is the renowned expert other than Zach Bush when it comes to glyphosate research. She's out of MIT. She's a senior researcher, and man, she knows her stuff. And I learned about glyphosate originally from Zach Bush. I thought, yeah, it's a problem. Now, from what I've learned in just the last year, I think I underestimated what glyphosate was. I think it is a very, very dangerous substance. And when people are like, oh, should I eat organic or not? And I was under the camp of like, well, I mean, whatever. I mean, obviously we know it's better, but like, I'm not going to worry that too much. I would definitely eat organic. Honestly, I mean, I get it, and I know it costs more. If you have to, if you have to do anything, then make sure your meat is organic over, I guess, the veggies is probably a better solution if you're trying to cut corners. But glyphosate is a huge, huge problem, and her book, Toxic Legacy, goes into the details on it. I mean, it's just crazy. The enzymatic expressions that it does to the body. It destroys gut bacteria, gut integrity. So you have leaky gut. It destroys glycine so that glycine cannot bond, which means if you can't get glycine, now we're thinking what everyone thinks about glycine. They think of collagen. Well, yes, you're right. Collagen synthesis. That means your connective tissue is going to be brittle and weak because it can't bond correctly. That amino acid cannot be made. I mean, then you look at gut integrity and what that's doing with autism. Well, guess what? There's a really nice graph showing an uptick in autism and when glyphosate was introduced. And sure, we can't always say correlation and causation. And I mentioned that on the podcast to Dr. Seneff, and she goes, Joel, this is an MIT researcher. She goes, that's what they will tell you. That's what they want you to say. But she goes, let me tell you something. That is the first clue. She's like, we don't always, maybe you can't always rule it out, but that's the first thing you have to at least look at and at least say, hey, we might have something, right? So I love that she said that. But these fulvic minerals, why I'm so bullish on them, they create ATP in the cells. At a cellular level, they are giving you ATP. They're giving you energy. They help remove glyphosate from the body. So I think that's great. And it also helps with like candida yeast and keeping that candida yeast overgrowth kind of suppressed. So I'm a big, big believer. I think everybody should be on a fulvic mineral supplement. I've got a couple that I like, but that's where I'm at with that.
Yeah, I agree. And you don't need much, right?
It's just, it's like a little dropper. I just put some drops in my water, 10 drops daily, or sometimes I do the whole little, dropper full, but the bottle has like 472 drops in it. So like I have a small bottle, and a lot of them are like that. So you can get the ion biome too. I like Carolyn Allen. I just interviewed her. She's got Beam Mineral. She's got this like kind of jug that you pour a capful in, just like ion biome. So I think either work really good.
If you want to try to make your own, right? I mean, I'm serious about that. People are like, we talked about it last time. If I travel,
the big thing for people making on their own though is the glyphosate. You can't guarantee that you're not in an area where there's no glyphosate. I mean, and glyphosate is being spread in the air. So even if and that's the big thing with organic too, right? You could have an organic farm and then a glyphosate sprayed Roundup weed killing farm right next to it, and it sprays over. Now you're getting that you're not organic anymore. You're more organic, but you're getting glyphosate in your crop still. So I don't think people can do your suggestion unless they live in an area on a mountain or something.
Yeah, there is that, right? You can't just go next door out in your garden. Maybe, I don't know, but
maybe.
The one thing I do know is the body giving its nutrients can overwhelm or protect itself from poisons, right? I know we have a lot of strong toxins in our environment, but again, the body's a pretty magnificent thing. If it gets all the stuff it needs, even in small quantities, that just creates a shield of armor that can protect against everything, right? And we have the glyphosate, we have EMFs, we have so much to worry about, and and it could drive somebody mad or crazy just thinking about it all, right? And you got to just take the little things and see what, hopefully, what will help you, right? And again, here I am, 53. I do a lot of these little things, and I haven't really had any bad effects, I don't think. I mean, I'm still doing everything I did when I was in my 20s.
Yeah, you're
And
thriving.
yeah,
Yeah,
and so that's what I know. And of course, this research is going to keep going on. In 10 years, 63, we'll see where I'm at, 73, and go. But for the listeners now, unless they follow us for the next 10, 20 years, right, it's something they might want to start looking into and just thinking about.
yeah.
And real quick, when you mentioned glycine, the book, The Longevity Paradox, I'm sorry, I don't remember the author, but it's a
Dr.
good book.
Gundry.
There you go. I knew you'd
That's what
know.
I'm here for. Yeah.
Okay. His big, I read books, and you don't pick up everything. I don't know. I don't. Right. But
Yeah.
if you can get a couple good things or listen to a podcast, get a couple good things, I think it's great. And one of the big things I got from him was taking extra glycine in your diet, specifically for that, because we don't get as much glycine, especially from if we eat a lot of meat foods, that the extra glycine actually also inhibits mTOR, which we don't always want to be growing, right? You've talked about that, I think, in the past, that's your anabolic that helps you grow, but we don't want to always be in a state of growing. We want to, we want to combat that. So the glycine will help bring that down. And of course, it helps also, since it's leaching, glyphosate is leaching glycine in the gut. Taking glycine, like just a little bit with meals, especially, you think you have glyphosate. So any breads you eat, or, I mean, what is it? Bread, corn, soybeans. I don't eat soybeans, but if you happen to eat soybeans, they're a very big GMO product. So
yeah,
those are, you want to take that. And I take it in most of my shakes, or most of the time I eat, I try to take it. I won't take it generally after I work out. That's my anabolic shake. And, if it does suppress mTOR a little bit, I don't want it. At that point, I want to have the growth. So, I want to be a little technical about it, and I dig that kind of stuff. So, but taking it all the time would be bad.
Yeah, no, glycine's great. I used glycine for a while. Great for sleep, promoting sleep, and also a great additional as a sweetener, right?
It's very sweet.
It's very sweet, and you can use it to sweeten stuff, guys. So it's a great thing to add into smoothies and add into stuff. If you're, like you said, I think in general, we could probably say probably most people are glycine deficient, and I think it also, again, it balances the neurotransmitters as well with like glutamate, and glutamate's very excitatory. I think glycine kind of brings more of that, I believe, if that's what I remember. So that's why it can help with sleep. So
it's like maybe just 10 grams of it, just 2 teaspoons, is a great growth hormone releaser. Hundreds of percent. So not just you take it at night, the last thing before bed, right? It may help you sleep. Hopefully you get that growth hormone increase, which is just, repairing the body, which would be great.
Yep.
And
great for fat loss and repairing the body. Yeah.
I learned that from Dr. Michael Colgan in his research back in the 90s about individual amino acids. And so I've done that off and on since then.
Yeah. Nice. I'm already looking. You and I'm going to just stop saying that we're doing 20-minute episodes. We might as well just go do full-blown 40-minute talks. But I have to run in like 5 minutes. So any other big ideas that you would say? We didn't even really get into too much, but people should definitely get fulvic minerals. They should definitely hydrate and have some kind of joint mobility practice and avoid glyphosate. But what else? Anything else? Any big light bulb ideas that people should walk away with?
Two of the things I picked up since the 90s, so we're talking about 3 decades, is the importance of vitamin C in our diets, right? Just what everything vitamin C can do for us. And so basically since the 90s, so the last 30 years, I've pretty much every day taken 2+ grams of vitamin C nearly daily. It protects, it's like, I'll just call that a big chink of armor for your body. It's a wonderful antioxidant, and it does so much for the body. We can't just say 1 or 2. It covers so many things. And if you follow Doris Lowe, I don't know if you've heard of her. She's really a big researcher into melatonin and vitamin C. And those are vitamin C seems that it could be one of the things that could help us from protect us from EMF,
Hmm.
the non-native EMF, should I say, which is becoming a big deal. The Wi-Fi routers, the 3, 4, 5G,
Yep.
that's a whole, I people don't know about it, and a lot of people don't, because I talk to a lot of people and they have no clue. They should probably start looking into it. Vitamin C looks because it bifurcates, so when the signal comes in, this is kind of my understanding, it kind of hits, we'll say, the vitamin C molecule and alters it.
Mm.
So it will alter what the damage it could do to your cells.
Yeah.
And that's just one thing, vitamin C. And this is what I learned in the last 5 years for vitamin C. But the previous 25 years, I've used it, and it's I've done so many things. I can't say vitamin C has done this for me, but it's just
Steve, when's the last time you've been sick? Yeah. Can you even remember?
Nope. I mean,
Exactly.
a couple, like a day or two, I might feel a little down, as we all are, because sickness
Yeah.
is a detox, basically, and we take too many toxins.
Yeah.
Even right? People think, oh, Steve, he's nothing but healthy, but I eat ice cream. I love ice cream. I eat sweets. I eat all that stuff. I'm not perfect, and I want to live life like anybody, but
Yeah.
I'm aware of also what I'm putting in, because I want this armor stuff, I call, so I can do everything else.
Yeah. You're
And
more
it's not
resilient. You're more bulletproof, right?
correct. And that's what it's about. Just, staying the course the whole time, and surviving, and enjoying yourself.
Yeah. I don't take vitamin C. I do take a multi that has vitamin C in it. But then again, I was sick this May. So, maybe, but I hadn't been sick in like many, many years, but I did get sick for a week. So
What
maybe there it is. Wasn't taking my vitamin C.
Well, there's that. I mean, eating vitamin C foods would do better, right? Because I like the foods because everything is, works together, and I get it. But you just can't get enough unless you're eating, tons of oranges or camu powder or whatever.
Yeah.
So basic ascorbic acid is very beneficial. It's very inexpensive. Of course, now you can look into, well, where's that come from? It's sourced from corn, and it comes from GMO. So you want to try to
Yeah.
look for John GMO ascorbic acid. It's out
Yeah.
there. You just
Yeah.
got to do a little homework. And once you find what you
Which vitamin C do you take then, so people can find it?
I'm just using Now, NOW, the Now brand. It's
Yeah.
pretty inexpensive. They're supposedly non-GMO.
Yeah. Now, tried and true, trusted brand, very cheap too. So
Yeah, yeah. And so
okay.
vitamin C is inexpensive, very, because we don't make vitamin C, so we need to bring it in. And we need to, and if you listen to Doris Lowe, and you can look her up on Facebook, brilliant researcher. We need gram amounts. We can't just eat an orange and say, I got my vitamin C today. I mean, that's helpful, but you need gram amounts. And sometimes they say up to 10 grams. And then you have Dr. Linus Pauling, who supposedly cured a lot of cancer back in the day with intravenous high dose vitamin C.
Yep.
So,
And won a Nobel Peace
lots of
Prize back
studies.
in the 1970s, I believe. So
Yes.
he must have known something.
Hey, try vitamin C. There's your tip for the day. Try vitamin C.
Good thing Fauci wasn't there. Maybe he would have been censored, Linus Pauling. Okay, yeah, sorry for that. Threw a little jab at Fauci. Anything else? Any other last ones?
One other thing I've been using for the last 30 years, and I got this from Dr. Colgan, and just the benefits of it. And again, it's multi. You can't. A lot of these things are just because the body's a complex thing. You can't just one thing doesn't generally just do one thing, right?
Yeah.
Olive oil. I've been, we'll say, drinking olive oil for the last 30 years, near daily.
Yeah. That's so funny. I always credit you. You're the one who got me in the olive oil bandwagon. Yeah.
Oh, good. I don't know. I don't know how
I put it in my shakes every day.
There you go. It's a good. It doesn't have a lot of the polyunsaturated fats, right? That's starting to look like it's not the best for us. It doesn't have saturated fats. It has the C9s or whatever
the mono.
Yeah, the monosaturated, right? And
olive oil, though, like, it's funny. I'm really curious to hear what you're going to say, because Dave Asprey is always like, "Don't have olive oil; it's high in omega-6." And I know what he's saying, but I kind of feel like then you have Dr. Gundry, the longevity paradox, who loves olive oil because it's got especially a molecule in there. It starts with an H, like hydroxy something, super, super powerful antioxidant, polyphenol, does so many things. And so Dave Asprey, I've even heard them talk about, he goes, yeah, that's why I don't drink it. I just take that supplement. But I think there's something to be said with the real foods and stuff. And I think, again, if you can just find that balance of omega-6 to omega-9 and omega-3, honestly, I think you're going to be fine. So it's all about, what you're doing. But yeah, I'm curious to hear what you say.
Yeah, the olive oil I've been taking again. Here I am. All I gotta say is I'm living proof, right? I haven't gone off the wagon. I haven't gone to the hospital for any major things. I mean, I've only the last time I went to the hospital was for that leg injury, which that was the only time I needed because that after staying in the hospital for a few days, I knew I never wanted to go back.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
this
for
horrible
sure.
feeling, and everything they know, the nutritionists and hospitals, I'm not putting a thing against nutritionists. Anybody who listens to this, but that being my first experience of what nutrition was, right? What they're trying to feed me. I was
I
like,
was at the hospital recently, Steve, and one of the things I walked away with from there is, wow, everybody here is a pillar of sickness. Everybody here is sick. I walked away with that realization. I never noticed that in the past, but like people don't go to the hospital it's not a wellness center. People aren't vibrant. They're not living. They're not enjoying. People are scared. They're fearful, and it is depressing in there. And it is a place of sick people. And I thought, wow, that's what it shouldn't be.
I agree, but this was just what they were feeding me as a patient, which obviously goes along with everything you said, I guess. Jello and some turkey and
Yep.
mashed potatoes. I
Yep.
mean, I could do better, and I did better than that back then. So
Yeah. Even back then, you knew.
yeah, yeah. So the olive oil, it's been a staple. I understand there's some, maybe a little high in omega sixes, but everything else I do, I think I balance it out. And
Yep.
again, I
Great.
mean, I've taken several tablespoons to a quarter cup or more a day. And again, everybody needs to go do their own research. But it's I'm doing okay.
that's your that's your argument. I'm trying to find the longevity book behind me.
I
I
see
just
that.
saw it and I can't find it. I'm sorry. I'm trying to look up that exact Dr. Gundry molecule that we were talking about with olive oil. If I can find it here, I'll bring it up. But
Yep, the
let's see.
longevity paradox and another book, the plant paradox, right? Those are
Yeah.
excellent books. If
Yep.
you want to know about, the problem with plants and lecithins and all that stuff, there's a lot of information out there. We just got to research, and you got to have, you got to want to.
You gotta wanna.
You got to want. You got to take responsibility for yourself for sure. You can't push off responsibility, such as the hospitals and the doctors, because, like you said, they're not always the pillar of
If you
positive
want to be
information.
sick, go to the hospital. That's all I gotta say. All right, my friend. Amazing stuff as always. Um, again, we didn't even get anywhere. We went 37 minutes just talking about olive oil. I gotta run. I gotta jump on a call with some clients today. Till next time. This was great though. I love all of I love again the blend school, the blend of old school and new school, and just how it all ties in. So thank you again, and tune in next week where we dive deep on another random health talk.
Oh yeah, man. Keep going.
All right,
All right.
brother.